It's a lovely thing to get up in the morning and look out the window and you got a beautiful winter's cold day and no wind hardly, a right fog going on. Really lovely conditions. I love that, and it's a great time to get out and take photographs in the woodlands and to capture different scenes to what you normally see any time of the year. So, it's best to make the most of those, and that's what I intended to do on this morning when I got up. So the first shot was from my local pool, which is just around the corner from my house. And we've got a load of gulls there, just sitting on the ice, and the mist in the background, a very minimal shot. And it just really stood out. And that's what we're trying to look for. That's why I go out in the mist. You can sort of get separation to separate your subject from the background so easily, especially in the woodland. So this is the start of the day, and we'll proceed on. So what we've got here are two shots, both from my local pool, which I say is just around the corner from where I live. And it's always about composition. Obviously you need light for photographs, but the next step is the composition. And it's really important, and it's really important that you learn to use your camera to make sure you get shots like this where you can instantly see your subject. And we can do that in various ways, and we'll talk about that as we go through some of the shots. There's little videos as well where I'm giving you some live commentary. But you can learn so much by looking at your composition. Think of it as a picture. A lot of people just go along, they take the camera, they just point it up and they just snap away, see the subject, and don't really think about exactly what they're doing. And that's where you start, getting into photography and learning all the techniques to make your pictures so much better. So composition, we got things, if we look on the right hand side, very minimal shot. So I tried to diffuse the background a little bit, so we got the stump fairly close. Positional wise, we got that little line coming down with the ice on top of the bar coming down to the actual post, and that gives a leading line that sort of brings your eye into the post, and then that's immediately what you look at. Straight away your subject is there, and then the background, it's nice and minimal, it's diffused. So we've used a focus, and we've set the lens with an aperture of about f5 on this, and that just diffuses that background, and you can see the ice, and that's also nice that the ice is there, and it just gives a little bit of something at the top of the picture, just enough to add some interest but not to distract from the main subject. If we look at the left hand side, again, it's a shallow focus. We've got the mist as well, and coming up behind the tree, and that really helps. So we're trying to get separation of our subject, and we can achieve that by using a wide aperture. So something about, again, probably shot at f5, I think I shot that at. So focused on the branches, so they're nice and sharp, and then it's falling off into the background, which is also helped by the fact we've got the mist. And this is why I love shooting in mist. It helps give you that separation and makes you, your actual image, although it looks quite subtle and very calm, it gives punch to your subject. Okay, so having travelled past the pool, this is to the left hand side of the pool as I walk along, and it follows the pool up the left hand side of it, and you can't actually see the pool from this. We just see bits of water there because it's quite dense wood here, and the locals called Stinky Woods. Me and the wife called it Spooky Woods because it has got a bit of a spooky feel to it, especially before it was cropped back a bit, so that some of the branches have been cropped back unfortunately, but it used to be a proper really nice arch. And I just love it. I've took so many photos of this in different conditions, snow and and even in the summer with sunlight breaking through it and whatever, so it makes a good shot all throughout the year. So just a simple black and white image, That's all there is to that one, really. Again, I don't use a small aperture to get a big depth of field. Some people might, and it may work, but I just like to give a soft feel. So I focus on a point, and then I make it get softer as it gets into the background, and it just, to me, it looks nicer. It's just more natural. So as you go up that path from what I call Spooky Woods, at the top of the path there's a small pool. Years ago when I was a young boy, there actually wasn't a pool there. It was peatland and it was very boggy. And there was a fire, and the fire on there caught fire to the peat. It dried out the peat and it caught fire, and it burnt under the ground for, I think, for over 6 months or something like that. And I always remember the story of a young lad going over there, and actually it all collapsed as he walked over there, and he got some burns to his legs. And that was a long time ago, in the 60s, I would say, 1960s. That happened, and I think what must have happened when it collapsed was it then filled up with water and become a pool. And in that span of time, it's now got a good population of fish in there, which is amazing. How do the fish get there? But they do. It really is amazing. I think the Coalboard may have had a hand as well. The Coalboard owned the land at the time, and they may have scooped some of that out with an excavator. And it was used at one time for dumping, I don't know what type of chemicals, but they dumped something in there, probably slurry, and other firms used to come over on the quiet and dump things in there. But it's now quite clean and no longer allowed to dump anything in there. And it has become a nice pond. Now you can't see the pool in this shot, but this is in front of the pool, and there's some beautiful sedges, and it looked fantastic, all the frost on the sedge, and it just made a beautiful shot. So that's just a little capture. And again, I may have just increased the aperture slightly on that to about f6, f7, but again, I didn't want it sharp all the way through. I wanted to diffuse at the back of the shot, and I just love that shot. Lots of texture in it, lots of shapes, lots of pattern. Okay, so here I am in the woodlands by my local village. We've got a lovely fog, and I probably started recording a little bit too late because I've just walked past 3 deer. Well, they walked past me. So a beautiful sight to see, and I'll put the photo. I did get a photo of them walking away. I haven't got a powerful lens. I'm just concentrating on the woodland really, but always nice to get a woodland shot with a deer walking past. So that I will show in the video. And really, these are really difficult conditions, and the reason for that, there's so much going on, there's so much around, and what you want to try and do is to simplify your shots. So what I mean by that is selecting an object using a wide aperture. Now most people might think, oh, I want to get everything focused, so I'll use a small aperture, but actually it's quite the reverse. What you want to do is to select something, say this scene, which I wouldn't photograph, but see that tree there on the right? That's what I would focus on, and I'd use a wide aperture. So this lens actually I'm using isn't that fantastic for getting really wide apertures, but it's f4, and that would be enough to get a shot of that and just slightly blur out the background. And that's what you want to do. You want to diffuse the background. The fog's helping in some areas, so that'll do a lot of separation, and that's basically the reason I've come out in this weather. I just love these mornings. Everything looks so fantastic. We've got the frost on the branches in a lot of areas. Probably can't see any at the moment, but there's some beautiful frost around, and everything looks so crisp. We just look at the the ground here, all the textures in there. There's a photograph there, but you've really got to look for a subject, and you can't shoot blind. You've really got to concentrate on a subject, open up your aperture and make sure that is what draws the eye in, the subject that you're looking at. And something like that would make a beautiful shot. You know, so you've got the fog in the background, that's giving you the separation. And shooting at f5 or lower, around f5 is probably a standard, and that'll just keep a few things in focus but just blur out the background a little bit, and that just makes a beautiful shot. It's lovely. These foggy mornings I just love, and I love to get out there and take some shots. Okay, so here we've got a nice shot lined up, and I want to diffuse that, and look at the shape there. So that's really giving me a composition. I'm going to use that, so I'm going to position that to the right of my shot, get it into the corner. You see the bottom of the gorse there, into the corner, and we've got this lovely fog in the background, and my focus point is going to be on that piece of gorse there, right on the detail where we've got that beautiful frost on there. And sometimes just getting lower can bring that out more, or getting higher to make it darker so it's quite bright. So probably around this position, you know, by changing your height will give you different shots. And don't settle for one, take a few. So another thing, when you're shooting in these conditions and you've got this fog, sometimes if you take a shot and you don't overexpose slightly, you won't see the fog so good, you won't see the mist, you won't see the detail. So sometimes I'll just slightly overexpose, just a couple over the normal exposure. So use your compensation if you're shooting in aperture priority, which I do, it's up to you, or if you're shooting, you know, if you're shooting manual, just change your settings slightly and just make sure you're slightly overexposing, and that will give you much nicer detail. I just don't sure if I can show you that. So if I go down, you know, and you can see me getting brighter now, so I'm getting there, that's at 0, and this is 1/3 over. This is 2/3 over, and that's 1 stop over, and you can see now the detail I can see in the mist. So think about that when you're taking your shot. Try overexposing a little bit to see what it gives you. And if you're shooting in RAW, if it's too much, you can always bring it back a little bit. Okay, now I've just noticed this fern with some frost on it, and you see how I'm composing this. You can see how I'm getting the end on the right hand side, how I'm getting that fern going down into the bottom right hand corner. Always think about that. So you've got that interesting curve, it takes your eye all the way through the photograph. So shoot fairly wide open to diffuse the background a bit, and you've got yourself a nice shot. There's a little bit of wind movement there, so you need to make sure you've got a shutter speed that will stop that, so you may have to take your ISO up a little bit. But I'll show you my shot in 1 second. Right, so I'm walking along here and I've just come across this piece of grass in the path there, and I think that looks a really nice feature. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to use that, get down low and use that as a feature, focus on that in the front of my shop, and I've got this background going on there. But I'm probably going to take it in a portrait mode, and I'm filming in landscape, so I'll show you the shot that I get from this one. Okay, so now the sun has come out really strong, coming in from over here, and things are going to burn off pretty quick. The fog's disappearing, the mist, but what it is doing is it's lighting up this frost, and it's giving it, you know, the opportunity to get some beautiful images of the frost before it melts. So once again I've stumbled on the deer, so now I am filming. I heard from a couple who was walking past earlier that there's a stag around as well, so we'll see if we can see him. Unfortunately I've only got a landscape lens. Taking a look at me now, I'm quite close. Beautiful female. He's keeping an eye on me, and I've seen the bushes moving beyond, so there's more in there. I was just trying to push up through the disappeared under the gorse there. What a beautiful animal. I don't want to spook them. I hate it when they're bothered too much and frightened off, so I'm going to carry on now, lead them to it. Bye bye mate. Wish I got my other lens. I'm surrounded by them. Stags over off on the left. Got some females and a youngster here. That's the view, beautiful. I'm going to switch to my camera and get a shot of it. Well, I'm back now, and back on the bridge by the road, which is just a short distance away from the house. We'll just have a last look at the birds now. There's the snow, as the ice is melting. Some are having a bit of difficulty. See the ducks sliding along there. The swans are trying to get through the ice and it's breaking. So we're all having a bit of fun now, getting chased there. Loads of swans at the moment. All slip sliding away. This little duck here. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Don't shake your tail. Whoa. Oh, nearly. There's those coots gone. There, look at those at the top there. Sliding away. It's funny, but it's hard for them. Hard to get food. But luckily, the water's melting now. Sun's up, so they should get a bellyful. And if they don't, there's that many people come here and feed them. That's why they all hang around this bridge. All the time there's people coming, feeding them bread, feeding them all sorts of things, oats they bring, seed. So they get fed really regular. You can hear the ice snapping there. She's really female there struggling to get along, slipping on the ice. You either slip or it breaks. Trying to get over to that channel now. You see the ice dipping there with the weight of the bird. One of the heaviest flying birds there is.